FIFA, the governing body of world football, has been thrown into turmoil by police raids and arrests in Switzerland stemming from allegations of widespread corruption against a number of its officials. Joining me to discuss what the implications are for the organisation and global football is Gideon Rachman, the FT's chief global affairs commentator. Gideon, 7 people arrested, 7 more indicted by the US, an investigation by the Swiss authorities. We've had allegations of corruption against FIFA down the years, but does this look like the big one?
It certainly does. I mean, as you say, FIFA has had corruption allegations swirling around it for literally decades. I mean, I remember writing a long report on international football in 2002 when the big issue was corruption and accusations against Sepp Blatter. And we've even had resignations from FIFA before, people banned from world football and so on. But this does feel bigger for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's so many people arrested and in such a dramatic fashion. It's almost like a movie. They'd all assembled in the Congress to re-elect Sepp Blatter, and presumably that's why they raided it now, because everybody was in one place at the same time. Also, I think the involvement of the American Department of Justice does really kind of ratchet up the stakes and make it much harder for them to evade this, because the US is not likely to be intimidated by FIFA. It's notoriously hard line in pursuing these kinds of things. They will have built a case very carefully. They're looking to extradite people. I think it does feel very serious.
What is the central allegation here? What are these people accused of?
Well, I think that will emerge in time as the indictments and the detail in the indictments comes out. But I think that there are 2 separate cases running. It's worth remembering that. There's the Department of Justice one in the US, and then there's a separate Swiss investigation. Now, the Swiss investigation is specifically, it seems, into the allegations of corruption when the World Cups of 2018 and 2022 were awarded. They were, to many people, slightly surprising awards. Russia won 2018 and Qatar won 2022, a country with no footballing tradition, punishing temperatures in the summer, which is when the World Cup is normally played. So there were immediately allegations of bribery and corruption, and people are going to look into that in the Swiss investigation. The American investigation seems to go back much further. The early disclosures are that they relate to bribes paid around Latin American football tournaments in the 1990s, which in some ways sounds less damaging, but also gives you a picture of how long this has been going on and how endemic corruption appears to be in FIFA.
Of course, a lot of eyes now are on Sepp Blatter, the FIFA president, who's been now in office for 4 terms. He's hoping to be re-elected for a 5th term later this week, as you mentioned. He's not been arrested, he's not been indicted, he's not been accused of anything. But is his position now in jeopardy, do you think?
I think in the long term it has to be. I think that I wouldn't be actually surprised if he goes ahead, he actually wins re-election on Friday. He's been building up his power base within FIFA for many, many years, and there are people there who owe him a lot and who may rally to him at this point. However, I think that Blatter's position, although he's very good at brazening things out, must look more and more difficult to maintain, because he's either got to say that, admit that he had something to do with what was going on in an organisation that he, after all, runs, or appear to be massively stupid and not to have noticed that the organisation he was running was endemically corrupt.
But over the years, he's overcome wave after wave of opposition to his position. As I said, 4 terms in office. He's clearly been incredibly clever at keeping support, particularly amongst the global football community beyond Europe and the US.
Oh, sure. I mean, he's a very astute guy. I mean, I have once, sat next to him at dinner. He comes across as enormously bland. He says nothing of interest, but he's a fantastically astute political player. He's kept himself in position, and it's not just that he's warded off direct corruption allegations against him. It's interesting, if you look at the people who've actually been drummed out of FIFA for corruption, interestingly, they have tended to be people who've challenged Blatter directly. So the man who ran against him for the presidency in 2002, Issa Hayatou, subsequently failed and then was accused of corruption. Mohammed bin Hammam, who spoke about challenging Blatter and was an important official from Qatar, also drummed out of world football on corruption allegations, but it's never touched Blatter himself, not in any way that he can't, as yet, shake off.
And if not Blatter, quick answer, do you think the World Cups in Russia in 2018, Qatar in 2022 are now under threat?
They're certainly under threat because there's this Swiss investigation in process. My guess is that the Qatar World Cup is a little bit more endangered than the Russian one, partly because it could be an enormous headache to rearrange just 2 years away from 3 years away from a Russia World Cup. Russia also has more political clout, and it is a more traditional footballing nation. Qatar has been mired in controversy ever since it was awarded the finals, and also Qatar politically, it doesn't have that many friends, even in the Gulf. Say Saudi Arabia, which is its big neighbour, doesn't get on that well with the Qataris, so they might find themselves a bit isolated. So if I had to bet now, I would say Qatar will lose the World Cup, but Russia will keep it.
Gideon, thank you very much.